The Nintendo Switch has built a massive library over the years. Whether it's massive open worlds, cinematic storytelling, or polished gameplay systems, these titles show just how far the console can go. In this video, we're counting down the top 20 best AAA games you can play on Switch right now. Experiences that deliver depth, quality, and unforgettable moments wherever you play. Super Mario Party Jamboree is the party game the Switch has been waiting for, and it absolutely delivers. You're looking at over 110 minigames here, which is insane, and they're all designed with that classic Nintendo polish, where anyone can pick up a controller and have fun within seconds. The board game mode is where you'll spend most of your time, rolling dice, collecting stars, and absolutely ruining friendships with brutal item plays and clutch bonus star wins. The boards themselves are creative and interactive, with environmental hazards and shortcuts that keep every match unpredictable. What really works is how accessible everything is, while still having enough depth that experienced players can strategize and dominate. The rhythm games are surprisingly solid. The motion control minigames actually work well, and the online play means you can destroy your friends even when they're not on your couch. Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, throws you into a dark fantasy world where you create your character and your main AI companion, called a pawn, then set out on this epic quest after a dragon literally rips your heart out. The combat system is phenomenal. It's real-time action where you can climb on massive monsters, Shadow the Colossus style, grab enemies and throw them off cliffs, or rain magic down from a distance, depending on your class. Your pawn learns from your playstyle and can be shared with other players online, while you recruit other people's pawns for your party, creating this cool, collaborative system. The world is huge and genuinely dangerous, especially at night, when stronger enemies come out and you're stuck with limited stamina and resources. Exploration feels rewarding because you're constantly finding new caves, ruins, and enemy encounters that test your build. The story gets wild, with multiple endings and New Game Plus content that adds entirely new layers to the narrative. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is this massive JRPG that takes place entirely on the bodies of two giant frozen gods, which is already an insane premise. You play as Shulk, who wields the Monado, this legendary sword that lets you see glimpses of the future during combat, and that mechanic is built directly into the battle system, where you can react to deadly attacks before they happen. The combat is real-time but tactical. You're positioning your party, managing aggro, building up chain attacks, and timing your arts abilities while the Monado visions give you these clutch moments to save your teammates. The story is genuinely excellent, starting as a revenge plot but evolving into something much bigger, involving the nature of the world itself, and it never talks down to you or holds back on complex themes. Exploration is rewarding because the environments are absolutely massive, with hidden areas, unique monsters, and side quests that actually develop the world and characters. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the definitive kart racing experience, and it's not even close. You've got 48 tracks out of the box. Then the Booster Course Pass adds 48 more, giving you 96 total courses that span the entire history of Mario Kart, plus brand new designs. The anti-gravity sections completely change how you approach racing, letting you drive on walls and ceilings while bumping into opponents gives you speed boosts instead of slowing you down. The handling is perfect, that sweet spot where casual players can hop in and compete, but skilled players can master techniques like fire hopping, drift boosting, and optimal item management. Battle mode is legitimately good now, with proper arenas and modes like Shine Thief and Renegade Roundup that are just as fun as racing. Online play is smooth, local wireless works flawlessly, and the game supports up to 4 players on one Switch screen. The variety in characters, kart customization, and track design means you can play this for years and still find new combinations and strategies. Skyrim on Switch is the full Dragonborn experience in portable form, and it's kind of magical playing this massive RPG anywhere. You're the last Dragonborn in a land torn apart by civil war and a dragon apocalypse, and literally everything is up to you. The main quest involves learning dragon shouts, absorbing dragon souls, and uncovering an ancient prophecy. But that's almost secondary to the hundreds of hours of content in guilds, side quests, and exploration. The combat is first-person action, where you can dual-wield spells, go sword and board, use stealth archery, which everyone inevitably does, or mix and match completely. Character building is freeform, with skill trees that level up through use, so you develop your playstyle naturally rather than being locked into a class. The world is dense with caves, ruins, towns, and random encounters that make exploration constantly rewarding. Every NPC has routines, every building can be entered, and the emergent gameplay creates these organic stories. Dark Souls Remastered on Switch brings one of the most influential games ever made to portable form, without compromising what makes it special. You're an undead warrior in Lordran, this interconnected world of crumbling kingdoms and deadly monsters, trying to ring two bells and uncover the mystery of the fading fire. The combat is methodical and punishing, where every enemy can kill you if you're careless. Stamina management is crucial, and learning attack patterns is mandatory for survival. What sets this apart is the world design. Everything loops back on itself, with shortcuts that reward exploration, and create this incredible sense of place when you realize where you've ended up. Boss fights are legendary tests of patience and pattern recognition, each one teaching you something new about the mechanics. The online system lets players leave messages for each other, summon help for tough areas, or invade others for PvP combat, creating this unique, asynchronous multiplayer experience. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is the expanded version of SMT5, with new story routes, demons, and quality of life improvements that make it the definitive way to play. You are a Tokyo high school student who gets transported to Dot, this post-apocalyptic demon realm where you fuse with a powerful entity and become the Nahobino. Then get caught up in a war between angels, demons, and human factions over the fate of reality. The press-turn combat system is incredibly deep. Exploiting enemy weaknesses gives you extra actions, while getting hit by your weaknesses costs you turns, making every battle a tactical puzzle. Demon fusion is the core mechanic, where you combine demons to create stronger ones, inheriting skills and resistances, and the customization options are nearly endless. The story doesn't hold back on philosophical questions about order versus chaos, the nature of gods, and human free will, with multiple endings based on your choices. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a tactical RPG that splits its time between turn-based grid combat and a school life simulation. And somehow, both parts are equally engaging. You're a mercenary who becomes a professor at the Officers' Academy, choosing one of three houses to lead. And the house you pick completely changes your experience with different students, story perspectives, and eventual conflicts. The monastery sections have you teaching classes, building relationships through support conversations, eating meals together, and preparing your students for upcoming battles. Combat is classic Fire Emblem with permadeath optional, where positioning, weapon triangles, character classes, and terrain all matter. But the new mechanics, like battalions and combat arts, add extra strategic depth. The story starts as school drama, but escalates into full-scale war, with morally complex situations where there's no clear right answer, especially when you see the conflict from different house perspectives.
Yes, good. If we're in the forest, we can sustain...
Tears of the Kingdom takes everything Breath of the Wild established and expands it vertically and mechanically in ways that feel revolutionary. You're back as Link in Hyrule, but now there are sky islands floating above and massive cave systems below. Plus, the entire surface map has changed, with new settlements, enemies, and challenges. The new abilities completely transform how you interact with the world. Ultra Hand lets you grab and combine objects to build vehicles, bridges, and machines. Fuse lets you attach anything to weapons and shields for creative combat solutions, and Ascend lets you swim up through ceilings. The building mechanics have incredible physics that let you create planes, cars, boats, and ridiculous contraptions that somehow work. Shrines return with puzzles designed around your new tools, and the Sky Islands have unique challenges and rewards. The story involves Zelda, the Zonai civilization, and mysteries about Hyrule's past, with dungeons that feel more traditional than the divine beasts while keeping the freedom of approach. Breath of the Wild redefined open-world game design, and it's still the gold standard years later. You wake up as Link with no memories in a Hyrule that's been destroyed by Calamity Ganon 100 years ago, and from the moment you leave the tutorial plateau, you can go literally anywhere, including straight to the final boss if you're skilled enough. The physics engine and chemistry system create emergent gameplay, where you can set grass on fire to create updrafts, freeze water to make platforms, use metal objects as lightning rods, and combine elements in ways the developers didn't necessarily intend. Combat is about resource management and creativity. Weapons break, so you're constantly adapting, and you can approach encounters through stealth, direct combat, or environmental manipulation. The shrines are bite-sized puzzles that reward exploration with spirit orbs for health and stamina upgrades, while the 4 divine beasts serve as dungeons with their own unique mechanics. Astral Chain is Platinum Games doing what they do best, creating stylish action combat with a unique twist where you control both your character and a chained demon called a legion simultaneously. You're part of a special police task force in a futuristic city that's being invaded by interdimensional creatures, and you're one of the few people who can sync with legions to fight back. The combat system is incredible. You're attacking with your character while commanding your legion to strike from different angles, using the chain itself as a weapon to bind enemies, and switching between 5 different legion types mid-combo for insane variety. Each legion has unique abilities, like the Sword Legion for pure offense, the Arm Legion for defense breaking, or the Beast Legion for mobility and tracking, and mastering when to swap between them is key to high-level play. The game mixes in detective work between action sequences, where you investigate crime scenes, interview witnesses, and solve cases, which gives nice pacing variety.
Out of there now. That is all.
Wait, hey! Don't you hang up on me! Damn! How are we supposed to fight something we can't even see?
Persona 5 Royal is the ultimate version of one of the best JRPGs ever made, and having it portable on Switch is a game changer. You're a high school student in Tokyo who gets framed for a crime you didn't commit, then discovers you can enter a supernatural world called the Metaverse, where you steal the corrupt hearts of evil adults by infiltrating their mental palaces. The gameplay loop splits between living your daily student life, building relationships with confidants, studying, working part-time jobs, and then diving into dungeons at night with your team of phantom thieves. The turn-based combat uses a press turn system, where hitting enemy weaknesses gives you extra actions, and you can negotiate with demons to recruit them as personas, which are basically Pokemon with style. Time management is crucial because every activity takes up time slots, and you need to balance social links, stat building, and dungeon crawling efficiently. The palaces are actual design dungeons, with puzzles and stealth mechanics, instead of randomly generated floors. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake on Nintendo Switch brings 2 foundational JRPGs back with a modern presentation while staying true to their roots. The first game offers a focused solo adventure where survival, exploration, and careful resource management take the lead, now improved with smoother combat and better pacing. The second expands into a full party-based journey, adding more strategy, character roles, and a wider world to explore. Both games benefit from quality-of-life upgrades like faster battles, clearer objectives, and expanded content that adds more depth without changing the core experience. The stories follow the legacy of Erdrick, starting with a simple hero's quest against darkness and evolving into a larger, more dynamic adventure with multiple characters and kingdoms at stake. It's a polished way to experience classic RPG design with modern comfort. Trails in the Sky First Chapter delivers a story-driven RPG experience that blends classic design with modern improvements. The game follows Estelle and Joshua, 2 young members of the Bracer Guild, as they travel across the kingdom of Liberal, taking on missions and gradually uncovering a deeper, more complex conflict. What starts as a simple adventure slowly builds into a layered narrative focused on character growth and relationships. Gameplay mixes real-time encounters with turn-based combat, giving you flexibility between fast-paced action and more tactical decision-making when needed. The Orbment system adds depth, letting you customize abilities through quartz and shape each character's role in battle. Exploration plays a big part, with side quests and detailed NPC interactions making the world feel alive and constantly evolving. It's a slow-burn RPG that rewards patience with strong storytelling and satisfying progression. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition brings back the Wii U cult classic with improvements and finally gives more people access to this absolutely massive sci-fi RPG. Humanity's last survivors crash land on the planet Mira after Earth gets destroyed in an alien war, and you create a custom character who joins Blade, an organization exploring the planet, fighting hostile creatures, and searching for the ship's vital life-hold units to save the remaining humans in stasis. The world is enormous, with 5 completely different continents, ranging from lush forests to bioluminescent alien landscapes, and exploration is the main draw, with verticality, hidden areas, and constantly discovering new vistas. Combat is real-time, with auto-attacks, positioning-based arts, cooldown management, and a sole voice system where teammates call out commands that you respond to for bonuses. The big hook is the Skells, giant mechs you unlock that transform exploration and combat, letting you fly across the map and take on massive enemies.
We're in a good position. Move in! Assault hammer! Down you go! Open fire! Flame grenade!
Metroid Prime Remastered is the definitive version of the game that proved first-person could work for Metroid, and it's aged like fine wine. You're Samus Aran, investigating a distress signal on the planet Talon 4, which has been corrupted by a radioactive substance called Phazon, and you're uncovering what happened to the Chozo civilization and the space pirates conducting experiments there. The gameplay is first-person exploration and combat, where you scan everything to learn lore, unlock doors, and analyze enemies for weaknesses, while gradually unlocking new beams, missiles, visors, and suit upgrades that open up previously inaccessible areas. The Metroidvania structure is perfect, with backtracking that feels rewarding because you remember exactly where you couldn't go before, and the map gradually opens up as you gain mobility options like the Morph Ball, Space Jump, and Grapple Beam. Combat is methodical, with lock-on targeting, strafing, and switching between beams for different enemy types. Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age is classic JRPG storytelling at its finest, with a massive world, lovable characters, and the most polished turn-based combat in the series. You play as the Luminary, a young man who discovers he's the reincarnation of an ancient hero marked by destiny. But when you reveal this to the king, you're branded as the Darkspawn and blamed for evil events, forcing you to go on the run while trying to understand your true purpose. The party members you meet are all fantastic, with their own arcs, motivations, and development that make you genuinely care about them. From the thief Eric, to the performer Sylvando, to the martial artist Jade. Combat is turn-based, with a pep system that builds up during battles and lets you unleash powerful combo attacks. Plus, skill trees for each character that let you customize their progression. The world is gorgeous, with distinct regions, towns with unique cultures, and tons of side content like minigames, monster hunts, and casino activities. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the first truly new 2D Mario in over a decade, and it absolutely justifies its existence, with creative level design that constantly surprises you. The core platforming is tight as always, with Mario's movement feeling perfect, but the Wonder Flowers are the game changer. Special collectibles in each level that trigger completely wild transformations and mechanics. One level might turn you into a horde of Goombas, another makes the entire stage start singing and dancing, another turns you into a spaceship, and the variety is absurd, with almost no repeated ideas. The badge system lets you equip different abilities before levels, like a grappling hook swing, wall climbing, or a parachute cap, adding customization and different ways to approach challenges. Multiplayer is seamless, with online and local play where players can revive each other, and the game scales difficulty based on player count. Character selection actually matters now, with different abilities between Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Toad, Toadette, Yoshi, and Nabbit. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 delivers a massive RPG experience, built around real-time combat and deep party systems. Battles flow dynamically as characters auto-attack while you trigger arts based on positioning and timing, creating a mix of action and strategy. You manage a full team with different roles, and the flexible class system lets you customize builds and experiment with playstyles. The Ouroboros mechanic adds another layer, allowing characters to fuse into powerful forms that shift the pace of combat. Exploration is a big part of the experience, with large open areas filled with side quests, secrets, and optional heroes to recruit. The story takes place in a war-torn world where soldiers live short lives, following two opposing groups who unite to uncover the truth behind the conflict. It's a character-driven journey that blends scale, emotion, and meaningful progression. Super Mario Odyssey is the best 3D platformer on Switch and a love letter to Mario's history while pushing the series into bold new territory. Mario travels across multiple kingdoms with Cappy, a sentient hat that lets you capture enemies and objects by throwing it at them. And this mechanic is revolutionary because almost everything can be captured with unique controls and abilities. You might capture a T-Rex to smash through obstacles, a bullet bill to fly across gaps, a tank to blast walls, or a stack of Goombas to reach high platforms, and each kingdom introduces new capture targets. The kingdoms themselves are incredibly diverse, from the realistic New Donk City with actual humans to the lava-filled Luncheon Kingdom where everything is food-themed to the snowy Shiveria with its racing penguins. Movement is the best Mario's ever felt, with tons of advanced tech like dive rolls, cat bounces, and long jumps that let skilled players traverse levels in creative ways. That wraps up our list of the top 20 best AAA games on Nintendo Switch. From epic adventures to action-packed journeys, these titles prove the Switch is still a powerhouse for premium gaming. Let me know which game is your favorite, or if there's one you think deserved a spot. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming content, and I'll see you in the next one.